Welcome back to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the game video. We're back at the diner. It's good to be here. Not in a corner booth anymore. I made that same joke yesterday. Here's the thing. We recorded a roughly an hour-long discussion yesterday talking about Rush Week.
Discussion.
Not a rant, not a review, it was basically a rant. It was a professional rant. Okay, about an hour long. Now, because the trailer dropped today, I was kind of hoping it wasn't going to. I was hoping it's going to be pushed like Monday, so that the video we can still post would have been fine. Yeah. But now, with more context and whatnot on Rush Week, I don't think that review or that rant discussion is as necessary. So I'm going to still post it for members. You might be thrown off because I just trimmed my beard this morning. So I have a much bigger beard in that video. But if you want to see that, it's literally an hour-long discussion about why the whole playing with no friends thing is pretty stupid, yada yada. But today a trailer dropped for Rush Weeks, 2 minutes, actually get some gameplay looks, what to expect. Before we dive into that, let's go ahead and take a look at the trailer.
Send them to Omega Sigma Theta. We need them. Please.
So there's the trailer for Rush Week, and honestly, it's fucking great. I think the trailer is great, and if it didn't come with the drama surrounding Rush Week, where if you haven't heard about it, Rush Week, again, 1v6 game mode, Johnny, 6 sorority girls. We'll go into some more details on that in a second, but the big catch that came out of nowhere the other day was that you won't be able to queue up with your friends. There's no parties. It is a solo queue experience. I think that is a huge mistake. I think it's not the way to go. Again, yesterday for members, I'll post it at probably today or tomorrow. We talked about it for like an hour about why that should not be the case. I don't get it. If you're worried about teaming, I think you just need to enforce via bans.
Teaming is not as popular as people claim it is.
Yeah, like it's funny because I saw people saying on Twitter, and it's like, well, if I queue up my friends, one of my friends is Johnny. They're like, it's gonna be a fun game for me and suck you for them. I'm like, dude, if I'm Johnny and I'm going against like you and Chase, you are my primary targets.
Yeah,
you're not getting out, fuckers. I don't care if the other, like that's how it should be. The teaming, and that's how most people think. I would think, there isn't a lot of helping like that. There's not a lot of teaming. It's not very common.
Right. And there was another reason where it was you want to get in quick and stuff like that, which I guess if there's less parameters for matchmaking, that should make the matchmaking quicker. But, I don't really understand how parties would affect that. Just make it parties of 3, half the lobby,
Yeah, something. Or even to duo queue, like just to play with somebody. So play it with one of your friends would be nice.
Well, and that's interesting because they said, it's going to be chosen at random. Johnny's going to be chosen at random. And everyone's like, I'm just going to leave if I'm Johnny because I don't want to play Johnny.
Mhm.
And then today, Jet said that no, everyone, when you load in, has the opportunity to be Johnny and you can opt out.
Yeah. So as long as as long as not everybody doesn't opt out, like if that happens, if everybody truly opts out of playing Johnny, someone will actually truly be chosen at random. Otherwise, if you opt out, and you don't want to play Johnny in the lobby, then whoever's left over that does want to play Johnny, it'll be random between them.
Yep.
Which is a great system in my opinion. I think it's a preference-based system essentially. That's great. I'm totally fine with that. It just again puts an emphasis on why can't I play with my friends then? Like if you already have a system like that in place, why can't you just automatically opt us out of playing Johnny to avoid the teaming?
Yep.
But then there's the other, and I think this is the primary argument for why you don't want to have parties. Because if you have a 6-man party, 6 sorority girls beating up on a random Johnny, yeah, of course, if you can bully Johnny, you're gonna bully Johnny. And I totally agree with that. But that, to me, is not a player problem. You can't blame your player base for taking advantage of what you put in front of them. It's a design problem. So if you can bully Johnny, it doesn't matter if you have a 6-man squad or not. People are going to figure it out and they're going to do it.
Yep.
And there are ways to combat Johnny in this game mode. That's one of the new things to it. Is it's not just bone scraps. So they have the option to use a wrench, a knife, and pepper spray, and then there's a new mechanic where they can throw perfume and then it will reveal Johnny's location. So there are ways to fight back. Now, in the trailer, we see that. We saw the wrench in there. We saw some attempts to fight back, but none of them were successful. You had like coming out of the hiding spot and swinging at Johnny, miss. There was the first that revealed Johnny through the knife. They swung at him. They missed. So It's not clear how effective that combat's going to be. But if all of you can get a wrench and beat the shit out of Johnny, then yes, that is going to be an issue if it was like a 6-man squad versus Johnny.
Well, and toxicity is also what they want to prevent, with teaming or bully squads. I know so many solo queuers as victims that will give family the rundown.
Yeah.
That are very toxic, always, ganging up on them, using exploits any way they can to get ahead. It's not just parties that are doing this. So there are going to be people bullying Johnny as much as they can in this new mode. And if they want to come out and say, well, we made sure that, that doesn't happen, then add parties.
Right. And it literally comes down to game design. And I know a lot of people, this is like the big thing I kept reading on Twitter that were trying to justify the solo queue decision is that, okay, imagine like how OP you'd have to make Johnny to counter a 6-man squad. And that's not it, because it's okay. A 6-man squad, if they're working together, arguably should be the winning squad, right? That if a good team is playing together, they should be the winners. That's okay. But they shouldn't be able to bully and troll the killer. I 100% agree. So you put counters in the game where you can counter the killer that cannot be stacked for 6 people. A really good example of this is pallets in Dead by Daylight. You can't have 6 people dropping pallets at the same time on a killer, right? So you have things like that, ways to counter the killer that don't involve beating the shit out of him. It's really not. It's not fucking rocket science, okay? Like they don't have to have a crazy system like that. And it seems like there is some of that. We saw some navigating, going up through the hole in the floor, like climbing up in the bathroom through what appears that doesn't seem to be an escape. The hat, we'll talk about the hatch in a second, but this seems to be another way to traverse to the second floor of a sorority house, without using stairs or a ladder.
Right.
So there's things like that. There's ways to get away. You don't have to beat the shit out of them.
Right.
So if that's really the concern that Johnny's going to get bullied, that's a game design problem. It's going to be a problem with or without parties.
Yep.
So fix it at the core of the problem. And that's the game design. Don't blame the player base. It sucks because the game mode in of itself, it looks so cool. The trailer looks great, but you're like, damn, I don't really want to pay the $20 for early access because I can't even play with my friends anyway.
Right. And then in addition to paying the $20 for the content pass, you get Execution Pack 4.
Yeah.
And future stuff that you don't even know what it is. I'm paying for, I don't know what I'm going to get, if I'm even going to like it, if I even want it.
It's not a secret that the content pass big push that they're really looking to get the sales for is Rush Week.
Yep.
Like obviously, like that's the headliner. Rush Week's the headliner. It has been from the get-go. So I just really wish I could do it with friends. You know, there's just
and finding out from when we knew at the time, 4 or 5 days before, the content pass and early access to Rush Week comes out. That's when we get told, oh, by the way, you can't play with friends.
Yeah. And at the very least, it should be available in private matches immediately. It shouldn't be like, maybe in the future. No, it should be right fucking now. If you're not going to let me play with friends in public games, then let me do it. Let me do it myself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They keep referring to Rush Week as its own game.
It's
its own game, a multiplayer game that you can't play with your friends.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
We're rehashing a lot. That's good. If you're going to watch the members video, you're going to hear a lot of this. A lot more detailed, but it's the same type of thing. That's why we're kind of just going through it quickly. It sucks. I hate the fact that you can't play with friends, but let's talk about the game mode itself now. Okay, so we know it takes place after the events of the actual game in and of itself. We're in 1978, completely different tone here. Obviously, I know they're going for the Giallo thing, and that's there. Don't get me wrong. What Wes put an emphasis on Twitter is that it's basically how the Giallo genre, that Italian horror moved its way to Western cinema.
Yeah.
In other words, it's Black Christmas. I mean, it's literally, and that's exactly what I mean. We're at a sorority house.
Yeah.
We're seeing it. It's Black Christmas, and no complaints, brother. Like I think that's cool as shit.
Right.
Love Black Christmas. So it's Black Christmas, but it's Halloween. So it's Black Halloween. Perfect. The Halloween party. But 1v6 at the Omega Sigma Theta sorority house. New ways to escape. So you have the movements there. You're able to traverse similar to the regular game. Ladders, windows, things like that. But you had to do some different things to escape. And we saw a little bit of that in the trailer. So you can get a fuse, repair a fuse box, and call the police. Sound familiar?
A little bit. Sounds a little familiar there.
sounds a little like F-13. Then you could actually find a pair of car keys and you could drive a car. No, I'm just kidding. You can't drive the car. That would have been cool. But you find a pair of car keys and you get to the car, unlock it, and then you can call the police from in there. So 2 different ways to call the police. And then once you do call the police, timer starts. I have some questions about it, which I don't know if they've been addressed. I'm trying to look through replies, but can you do both?
Right.
Can you do? We didn't see the car option in there. Which
in the trailer, right?
And that's another thing I'm curious about as well. So we saw Johnny at the beginning. He crawls up, he goes up the ladder, and then we start the game. It seems like an opening cutscene kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Everything else, unless I missed a shot, everything else other than the beginning and the end take place inside.
Right.
But if you have to find car keys and go out to a car, there has to be an outside component for the sorority girls too.
I assume it's just because it's a big old gate. Big old wall.
Yeah, we see Johnny jump in that wall.
Yeah, I assume you'd be in the confines there, but how much outside space really can you traverse?
Yeah, and is there going to be like a chasing component out there? How easy is it for Johnny to go out there and stop the car call? And do you get into the car to radio?
Then he has to pull you out.
Right. These are little things I'm curious about.
Yeah, and then how detrimental is it if Johnny is now outside at that car? If the outside area is big enough where he has to come pretty far away from the house. Mm-hmm. Now stuff going on inside the house is our objective is going to be able to get done there. That's, one killer, one family member verse 6 is definitely interesting in that way.
Yeah. And then after the police escape, there's also the option to go find a pole with a hook on it and open an attic hatch and crawl up through there. But it is limited to only 2 sorority girls can escape through there. Then the ladder will break, and Johnny can also break it. So
I would assume that the ladder would have to be pulled down for Johnny to break it. You can't just walk right up there, break it, and now they can't even go for it. It's got to be used. They got to use the pole, bring the ladder down first before Johnny can break it. Yeah.
And then so my only question on that as well is that hatch always going to spawn in the same spot? It probably makes sense for that. But how much RNG is there? Obviously, the pole you have to find, I assume that is RNG based. So is the keys for the car and the fuse and things like that. Right. But how hidden are those things? Like, finding a fuse in the main game is very easy. right? We know the locations. You'll find it very quickly. How random, how hidden are those fuses going to be? They're not going to be stuck on walls, right? Like the base game mode, maybe they are. But what do you do? Open drawers, right? So how far are they going to go pulling these elements from F13 into this, or how obvious the fuse? Because to me, it sounds like the fuse might be a very easy thing to do. I don't know. We'll see. All of it actually sounds pretty easy. So you got to think there's a whole new fear component with this game. So you have to control your fear as a sorority girl, because the more scared you get, the more you're revealed to Johnny. Now, it's not super clear all the things you do to get scared or how it gets affected. We saw in the trailer that Johnny can still shut off lights. So maybe being in the darkness increases your fear, things like that. But yeah, there is that type of component in this game where you can have a similar to a sense ability for Johnny,
right,
where he can see the sorority girls if their fear is high enough. And also on top of that, there's kind of a rage component going on here, similar to Jason F13, where as the game goes on, as he gets more kills, potentially takes more damage, he gets stronger. So he gets more and more powerful throughout the game, and that's where that's probably why the escapes will be a little bit more simplistic. You know, if he's sensing you, if he's on your shit like that, and he can probably kill you very quickly if he's at his whatever maxed out power,
right,
I assume he can probably kill you very quickly.
Right. Yeah. But we can't have parties beating up on Johnny, even though that will accelerate his rage component.
Yeah. And I didn't talk about this in this video yet. I did in the other video. That was another thing. People were comparing it to F13. Like, people just ganged up on Jason all the time. You're right. They did. And then they implemented two things that basically eliminated that style of gameplay. You could still do it. You could try to kill Jason, beat him up, and get his, sure. But there were two things that got implemented that changed that completely. There was the ability, when you swing now as Jason in F13, you don't just hit one counselor, you hit all of them that are in that vicinity. Huge. That made a big difference. Then there was the rage component. If Jason gets rage, he can no longer be stunned. With that, you can't bully him. It's that easy. So having something like that in this game mode would do the same thing. So,
right. And yeah, but it's interesting because with all of this pushback, they're making it very clear, hey, private matches for Rush Week might come in the future. We may see that in the future. They are not committing to, even possibly in the future, changing where you can play with parties.
They said we'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
there was kind of
along the info.
They were kind of like, if the game mode does well, sure, we'll see it. But it's like, it's not gonna continue to do well if you can't play with friends. I understand this first month even, let's say, it's gonna do well because even though we're bummed out, we want to play with friends, we're still gonna try out the game mode even in a solo queue experience. But it's not going to be sustainable if you can't play with friends. That's what you're going to want. And this game mode opened a door for them to have some creativity. Yep. And we talked about this in the other video. Again, for members, we'll post it. To me, I'm pretty locked in. Gun will never say this. You can't do it as a publisher. But to me, I think they have handcuffs on from Vortex and Kim Henkel and the licenser. I think they're being told to not release things. You look at the Sissy cosmetic that just got announced. It's bad.
It's really bad.
It's really bad. There's no denying it. That's why they didn't put a lot of hype around it. It was just like, hey, she found a new dress. Okay. They have to know it's bad. We know it's bad. Everyone knows it's bad. Okay. But they're working with such an incredible team at Art Bully. And even if you are going to confine yourself to the limitations of the decade or the time, and lock yourself into the World TCM, you can fucking do better than that. They can. Yep. This is Art Bully we're talking about. All right. So what is going on? Gun's not stupid. Black Tower's not stupid. Art Bully sure as shit ain't stupid. They know what they're doing. So what is going on? And it has to be coming from a licensor problem. It has to be. So I feel like what happened is they took all that and they said, okay, fine. We will stop trying to introduce things that will change the world of the original movie. So what we're going to do, here's an idea. New game mode. does not feature anybody from the original movie. It's a brand new original character, Johnny, only him, new characters completely that are not part of that lore. Can we have some fun now? Say, let's move into the 80s. Let's have these cosmetics. And then they revealed a whole bunch of cosmetics as well for Rush Week, all free, 2 of which are only free for a limited time until the next patch. But 5 original cosmetics, all way more fun than what we have in the fucking base game.
Mm-hmm.
Right away. So it's like, fuck that. Why was that so hard? Why was that so hard to do? Again, it has to be, they're being held on a leash by licensors. That has to be the case.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
And again, that is a theory, a game theory, because a publisher will never say that. You can't throw your licensor under the bus.
Right.
But I just feel like they're on a leash. But dude, these are cool, man. You got the pajamas, we got a cheerleader outfit, got a nightie, and then the other ones that eventually you're going to have to pay for in the future, but you can get them free right now. You used to play the game mode one time between now and sometime in October, and you would keep these for free forever. The towel, and then laundry day. So
yeah,
we're having fun. All of a sudden, we're having fun.
Fun?
If only we could have fun with our friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you're going to start seeing that creativity be explored a little bit more, I'm sure.
I hope so. And I wish I could see that creativity with my friends.
Yeah. We're going to keep circling back to that. But this is the most exciting moment this game has had in like 6 months. And there's so much potential
in
here.
5 days before you tell us, oh, by the way, you can't play with friends.
The thing with Rush Week is what we're seeing is elements from the very good core design of TCM mixed with Killer Clowns, which, by the way, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's some influence here from Killer Clowns. I don't care what they say. Just the towel cosmetic, the movement. I don't understand they're using Black Christmas and Giallo films to have an influence here, but if you told me Ophonic made that trailer, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I totally believe you. So definitely some influence there from Killer Clowns and kind of what they've done, even with the cosmetics alone. And then they're going back to their roots with F-13. There's some serious F-13 tones here. It's, to me, that is all great news.
Yeah.
That's great thing. This only thing holding it back is the inability to play with friends.
Yeah.
I just wish they would have taken a shot first. You know, let's say the game mode comes out and there is a problem with parties.
A lot of reports coming in for gaming.
And then you can change it and pull it. To launch it, a new game mode that's sitting behind a $20 paywall. I understand it's only a 4-day $20 paywall, but it's sitting behind a $20 paywall. Can I at least play it with friends? What are we doing? Let's do some testing here.
It would have been nice to know sooner, a couple weeks ago.
Before I was all hyped for it.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And again, the main selling point of the content pass is this 4-day early access. You get Execution Pack 4, and you don't know what else you're going to get. That alone is an interesting decision. I would never do that, but it's an interesting decision. And then, now I can't even play with my friends. I don't, at this time still, last night, Thursday night, I said, I don't know. I don't believe I'm going to get the content pass. At this moment, on Friday, after the trailer comes out, I still don't know if I'm going to purchase the content pass.
Yeah. Which is it's crazy thing to say from our perspective. I also don't know. The only reason I would buy it is purely for content's sake, to be a part of that early access. Like, obviously, the first day of Rush Week, that early access date, the 26th, it's going to be a big view day for sure. Of course it is. So you're like, man, if I wasn't a creator, no shot I buy the content pass. Not in its current marketing state. Not a shot. I wouldn't do it. So I'm just, I don't know, conflicted.
Big part of what we do. There's 2 of us right here. Yeah. Our stream team, there's 3 of us. Mm-hmm. We can't play together.
Yeah, sucks.
So our shtick, our streaming shtick. The only reason why people watch is because we're funny. We got more than one funny person.
Okay.
Well, I think we're funny. But yeah,
looking.
It just stinks that on Rush Week early access day 1, sure, I can come over and I can watch you play or watch someone else play, and I gotta play by myself.
You play Multiverses.
I'll play Multiverses by myself. It's just such an interesting choice. And yeah, the video that we posted for members that we recorded yesterday, it's just expanding on every single point we made. Everything's longer.
Yeah. If you want, just yes, a little more from the heart. I don't think there's anything else in terms of the game mode we want to cover. I do want to put an emphasis on Rush Week. They keep pushing that this is the start of a new era. This is a big push for year 2. They keep talking about year 2 of TCM, and then they also did say that they got the blessing of Kim Henkel himself, and they are exploring and creating within the world of Texas while still adhering to the authenticity of our game. That's exactly what the other point I was trying to make with that is, yes, hey, we're not fucking that part up. Kim Henkel's cool with it as long as you don't fuck up that part.
Right.
So, yeah. How do you feel? I've seen some complaining about this, so I'm just kind of curious in your opinion on it. How do you feel about these new sorority girls? None of them have names. None of them have lore. How do you feel about that?
I don't mind.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple Reddit posts where it's like, is this kind of lazy that they didn't even think of names or any lore for them? I can see where you're coming from on that point, but also it's a game mode. Yes, they keep referring to it as a game, as its own game, but it's a game mode. And again, they said that this is supposed to be quick. You load in, you play, you move on to the next one. You can make your own lore, they said.
Yeah.
I don't mind that at all. I don't think it was a lazy choice. I think it's fine.
I think I don't mind it either, because there's a couple ways to think about it. You can picture it from the deep lore side of TCM as it's just another passing through for Johnny, right? Just they're nameless because they're just another one on the list. They're not survivors, yada yada. So that's one of the reasons they're kind of throwaway characters.
It's like the radio broadcasts, X amount of females.
Yeah.
So
Pflugerville.
He's just passing through and doesn't care who these people are. He's just gonna attack them.
But by the way, another game that did exactly this was Killer Clowns. That none of the humans have names, or there's not lore there. Very little to do with that. So it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal.
It would have been interesting. We said this a little before when we were speculating and getting our tinfoil hats on. If they would have made one character their main character and then have that be able to cross over into
the main
game. Because we were inspired on that front by the casting of Frank Stone and how it seems like those characters are going to be coming into Dead by Daylight. So having some, maybe even just one, Rush Week victim come over to the main game. We were thinking about that, but none of them have names, none of them have lore.
And it kind of goes hand in hand with what they're doing here cosmetically. There's no leash at all for how you design for any of the characters. So, because right now you pick your cosmetic and then it applies to whatever random sorority girl you get.
Right.
Which is, I think that's kind of cool. Well, if you decided this girl's a cheerleader, this girl, yada, yada, this girl's a slut, whatever, then you're going to be limited to that character description. So the cheerleader cannot, whatever, however it is. Whoever's not the cheerleader can't be wearing the cheerleader outfit. And that just really kind of restrains you a little bit. So now they could do whatever they want cosmetic wise, because we don't know shit about these characters, and you just go in crazy. And that's where customization can be a lot of fun.
I saw a Reddit post that was like, we should name them AJ, Tiffany, Vanessa. Mm-hmm. Good one.
Yeah.
Someone's Jenny. Like, what about Shelly? We should name one of them Shelly.
You could.
I'm like, oh. Shelly catching strays.
Wow. Yeah. So I don't know. Anything else? Anything else we gotta dive into that is not already in the members video?
I don't think so.
Well, that's it. Rush Week. The trailer looks fantastic. Said it a million times. Beating a dead horse here, but the only downfall is the inability to play with friends.
I guess I'll say, lastly, I still don't know if I'm getting the content pass. Last night, I was pretty hell-bent on not getting it. This trailer moved me a little forward towards maybe getting that content pass for that early access. But at this time, I still don't think I'm going to get it.
Big sigh. But are you going to buy the content pass? You can get that Rush Week early access. What are your thoughts on the trailer? Let us know in the comments below. But that's going to wrap this video. If you enjoyed, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. And of course, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. And we'll see you in the next one.